So are we good to go?
Yes, Mayor, please call the meeting.
Okay. Meeting's called to order. Gold Hill City Council, March 1st. Roll call, please.
Mayor Studebaker,
Here.
Councilor Bishad,
Here.
Councilor Hinckley,
Here.
Councilor Rigney,
Here.
Councilor Palmer. Did you hear me?
Mike's not on.
Oh. Councilor
Here.
Wilson. Thank you. Councilor Gino.
Here.
Jessica, yours not on.
Uh-oh, we lost you.
Jessica, your mic isn't on.
Yeah, I know. My press to talk stopped working now that we're actually in meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so we're quorum. The virtual Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
visible, with liberty
and
justice for all.
liberty and justice for all.
Okay, excellent.
Oh, I'll be glad we don't have to do that anymore.
It's awkward.
Any agenda adjustments? Okay.
No, I do want you guys to know, though, I haven't forgotten about the minutes. I've been a little bit swamped, but I do plan on catching those back up and putting them before you at some point. So hopefully soon, since I have actually caught books up now and I can work on other things.
Woo-hoo. Progress. Okay, any announcements, awards, or proclamations?
None of those either.
How about
And
public
no one's
input?
done
Anybody?
public input either.
I got nothing from Webmaster, so no, nothing here.
Moving. Okay, the public hearing. Not. All right, on to the business of council consideration 7.1, citywide cleanup date of May 22nd. Manager
Yes,
Jeff?
so Can Do wants you to give your blessing to that date. We want to do our community city cleanup that day. So
Are we able to
mean-
coordinate with the fire district on that day and maybe do another one of those dumpster gatherings?
oh yeah, they're involved with everything. So they'll probably be doing some other things in addition to the cleanup day as well.
I just thought it would be really nice if we could coordinate those days and then people can get all of their stuff done on the same day. So.
Yep.
Any objections to the 22nd clicks?
Everybody's good with that? Okay. That will be our day.
Sounds good. To 2.
That one was easy. Let's just slide through everything else that way, okay?
Yeah, right. It would be just that. 7.2, the volunteer resolution.
Okay, yeah, so I sent you the volunteer resolution. It's exactly the same as last year. Nothing's changed. I sent it by the insurance lady before I gave it to you. She said everything is good to go on it. So if someone just wants to make a motion to approve this resolution, we'll get it done.
I'll motion to approve resolution number 21R01.
Is there a
Seconded.
second? Moved and seconded. Any other conversation? Roll call.
Councilor Bishad. Yes,
Uh-oh, we lost.
Yes,
this.
sorry, turn my
that
mic
makes me
off.
sure. Councilor Hinckley,
Yes.
Councilor Rigney,
Yes.
Councilor Palmer,
Yes.
Councilor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilor Gino.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. Mayor, if you want to swing by here sometime, you can sign the original for me.
Okay. I printed one out. Can I just sign that and drop it in the slot?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, 7 point, the budget calendar applications for the budget committee.
Right. So if you remember last year, Councillor Bescheid and Councillor Rigney were part of our electorate as part of the budget committee because we already knew they were going to become councillors. So with them leaving, plus we were one short anyway, we have 3 empty slots. And as I explained to you before, we are not required to fill those spots, but if we can get people from the city to participate, it's for the best. So that's where we are with that. We'll open up applications for this next period if anybody wants to be part of the budget committee. I've presented you with a budget calendar that I've outlined what we want to do here. So at our next council meeting, if anyone has applied at that time, you can consider the applications and appoint them in for our first meeting, which will be on April 12th. As I mentioned before, I'm just assumed you wanted me to be the officer and prepare the budget again, but if you could actually vote tonight and make me the budget officer, I'm not gonna lie, I've already started working because I figured you would. But make an actual motion to be the budget officer for the 21-22 budget, and yeah.
To be
That's where we are with
clear,
that.
these proposed dates, the meetings are at 6 p.m. still, correct?
Yes, I didn't put times on here, but they'll all be held at 6 p.m.
I will make a motion to appoint Jessica Simpson as the budget officer.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. Any other conversation? Roll call.
Councillor Hinckley,
Yes.
Councillor Palmer,
Yes.
Councillor Rigney,
Yes.
Councillor Gino,
Yep.
Councillor Wilson,
Yes.
Councillor Bescheid.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. I will continue the work. Things are looking good. I've already run some preliminary report, look at our numbers, and I'll have that to show to you soon.
And we appreciate all your hard work and staying on top of us. This has been a thorny one. We had a heck of a mountain to climb out from under. So thanks.
I'll second that.
For application, Danielle, are we going to have this prominently noticed on our website, applications for the budget and the planning committee?
Yeah, I mean, I'll put them up there, and I have a section under city projects. It's all the way to the right. So there's a quick link, and I will just continue to have it up there and post notices. The other thing that is helpful that I'm going to bring up again is the ability to link it on social media for these committees. I realize that a lot of the council members do not like social media. A lot of our community members, it's how they communicate. And so whether it's a counselor that's linking it to them or an official city page, it would be helpful to be able to share these things on social media and get the word out. It's one of the reasons we have such difficulty filling them.
So, I mean, there's really no reason why a council member can't post that link on Facebook. I mean, I wouldn't participate in any discussion that resulted or maybe hold no comments on your link, but there's no reason why you can't share that link.
Right. Because my social media is my private social media, and I'm trying to not link my social media to the city because I don't want the city to be liable for whatever's on my private social media. I've been trying to not post these links on my private account.
And
I
have a question.
It's the same
real
reason
fast.
I encourage you all to use your city email, because once you start using your personal anything for city business, it can be, what's the word?
Subpoenaed, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to say one thing about our website, and I appreciate all your hard work. I think, in my opinion, I'd like to see Jessica or the city hall have administrative rights to that web page too, not just one person. That way, when and the reason why I'm saying that is I get sent pictures on a weekly basis on what's going on in town. And I really feel counselors that don't go and check it out for themselves, they at least can go and look at our website and go, oh my gosh, like one incident was Tony picking up 12 bags of garbage that a resident down the road dumped at one of our parks. I mean, his mail was in that garbage. That should have been put on. I don't know if you guys believe in public shaming, but what do you think they have crews working out on the freeway? It's called public shaming.
So I have no problem with city hall having access. It wound up that it got whittled down to me because I was the only one that knew how to code.
I know I was there while it was, but I'm just saying.
Right. The other thing on that is, if there is anything that anyone wants posted to the website, feel free to email it to me. I don't know if you guys have been trying to email it to me. I know my email has been messed up, but I'm more than willing to what the council wants up there.
What I'm saying is,
I
think you're the only administrator. I don't agree with that. I think City Hall should be, Jessica should have administrative rights to that webpage. You know,
why don't yeah, we can talk that out and work it out.
I know, but I'm just bringing that up about the web page. There's just a lot of things that should be put on there, and I get it. Life happens, but anyway, it's just a thought. Just keep that in mind.
And as we move forward, I think that's for new manager that we will have, that they have a very simple, quick and dirty way to communicate via our website.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately that was the goal, is for somebody else at City Hall to take it over so that one day I can retire from city life.
Yeah, we really should have a paid employee doing it rather than a volunteer.
Yeah, and I mean, eventually that is
Not
something
that
I would like.
you're doing a great job, but
I would like to be able to have an IT budget so that we can have an IT person up there that is not just in charge of the website, but making sure the streams go out. So if we ever do have an emergency again, they can make sure that Zoom and YouTube and all of that continues.
What's a good idea for the budget?
He has a rich uncle.
Yeah.
We have lots
Okay,
of
but we're totally off topic now. It's noted. We will carry down that path. Bringing that up, Councilor Palmer.
7-4 Planning Commission application.
So last week, when the Planning Commission met, 2 of the Planning Commission members resigned. So we have 2 vacancies. In the meantime, we still have 3. They continue to meet, but I'd like to get that filled back up again. So opening the application window for the Planning Commission.
So what is our present commission comprised of on it?
What is it comprised of?
Who's on it?
Right now, Wendy Brown, Mark Warwick, and Steve Kiesling.
Those are participants. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And you did a pretty good job.
To talk about this one. I'm gonna open that up again.
So you described how we need to make a good faith effort. If we don't get more participation, we can go with what we have.
Yes, we can keep moving forward. We have enough people, but we still should try and fill them as soon as possible.
Yeah, and that's an important one. Okay, thank you. 5, city manager work session scheduling.
Okay, so I'm proposing that the 3rd Monday, instead of a council meeting, we have a session to nail out details of what you're looking for in a city manager, and then we can get the position advertised. I'm going to bring to you a list of what I think we consider, but I feel like the last few rounds of when we've been trying to hire people and different things, I feel like we're getting to the end stage, and when it comes down to making a decision, then we start disagreeing about the qualifications and how we're ranking people. So I want to nail that down in the beginning. This is specifically what we were looking for. So when we get to the end of the search, we won't have any argument at that point. And like I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to be stepping back into the recorder role alone. So we could even make this an open-ended application process and just keep going until we find the right fit, you know, and I'll just keep doing it in the meantime. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. I've heard that the cities of Ashland and Phoenix, I believe, are also opening city manager search. So once again, we're going to have competition. But we have a totally different thing to offer than those cities do. So it's going to be a different type of city manager.
Good.
But yeah, if you're all agreeable to that, and it's up to you, like I said, probably we should make it an executive session because it is a personnel discussion.
And so I just want to make sure the Citizen Involvement Committee, we're setting that for April 15th, not March 15th, correct?
Yeah, that was April.
Okay, I just
Yep.
want to make sure that it wasn't going to collide with the workshop.
Yeah, no, different month. So are you guys all good with that? Monday after next?
On the 15th of March.
15th.
Yes, on the 15th of March, 6 p.m. We'll just have an executive session.
I'm good with that.
Okay, perfect.
We don't need a motion, just consensus.
No, I just want to make sure that date was good with you. We'll all meet then.
Okay, for the headliner, 7-6 County Sheriff performance.
So I guess I'll start the discussion. I'm the one that asked to put it on the,
Really
The
quick, do we
agenda.
want to bring him in early or do we want to wait for him to talk?
I think we should bring him in now.
Yes, I think so too.
I think it makes sense to kind of lay the groundwork and talk a little bit about what put it on the agenda.
Right, I'll do that. So I'll wait till he gets here. And his name is Lieutenant, right, Pencava?
Yes.
Okay,
What's his last name?
Pencava, it looks like.
In Cava.
Okay, so we're ready to start this? Okay. I would like to start out by reading the statement from Ms. Joy Richardson, who is a clerk at the corner market. And this came to my attention by Facebook, and I followed up with her and asked her to make this statement. I'd like to read it so that everybody understands the situation as it was reported by her. So I'm reading that statement now. It's also in your packets. It says on February 24, she said, I called the Sheriff's Department of Jackson County to report an aggressive and agitated male outside, and this is outside the market, who was making me feel very uncomfortable. Also, Ms. Richardson does not live here, but she works here. I made the first call at 5:02 p.m. I had mentioned to dispatch that the man was starting to walk across the street to the park. He then came back at least 2 more times before I called the second time at 7:02, 2 hours after my original call. I asked dispatch why no one had showed up. She looked into it and told me the officer signed off on this call 2 hours before that. I'm assuming as soon as I called. She said she would send them again and have the officer call me when he was on the way. At 8:04 p.m., officer called me from across the street in the library parking lot to ask what was going on. I told him what had been going on with the male. He, the officer, then proceeded to tell me that he should explain to me the contract between Gold Hill and the Sheriff Department. Parentheses, she says, I could be mistaken. I thought he said they are only contracted for 6 hours a week. I may have misunderstood him, as I am now hearing they are contracted 40 hours a week. He did not word it that way. If so, in any case, I did not call to hear about Gold Hill's contract. I called for assistance. He then told me as soon as I had said the male walked across the street, they consider my call no longer in progress and not a priority. So they went to other calls instead. I had also explained to dispatch that I was working alone at night. I asked the sheriff at this point, mildly frustrated, parentheses, if next time I should just say he is still there since he will return shortly anyway. He told me that he would have me arrested if I did. I then asked him, what am I supposed to do then? Should I let him come in and attack me, or should I just shoot him first when he comes in? The officer hung up on me at this point. He did not even ask me to change my tone or anything, just hung up to dispatch that I was working alone at night. I asked the sheriff at this point, Sorry, I'm getting some feedback here. Like, it's gone now. Okay. Yes, I was frustrated, but who wouldn't be? I was not yelling or anything. The officers were not able to contact the mail before they left from sitting in the library parking lot. When I got off work at 10 p.m., the mail was outside my work. I also had my 15-year-old daughter with me, who he spoke to in a sexual kind of way and holding money up to her from outside my vehicle. He then started to approach my vehicle, so I drove away. I never spoke to an officer face to face during the few hours this was going on. And that's the end of her statement. So I'm just concerned about the quality of this interaction. I think that for $180,000 a year, more than a third of our annual budget going to law enforcement, we deserve a higher quality of response. I think that for $180,000 a year, maybe we could get better service if we went with a private security agency. I think this is completely unacceptable. I would like an investigation into the event. I want some kind of assurance that this isn't the norm and that this isn't what we expect for $180,000 a year. Thank you.
Jessica, are we at 108 or are we 145 a year?
I'm sorry, what was that? Your
Our budget
year?
for law enforcement, is it 145 or is it 180?
Jessica told me 180 when I asked her the other day.
I think it's
This year we budgeted $180,000.
180.
Okay.
For the record, I met with Lieutenant Pincava earlier today and we had a long talk about it. They've already done their own investigation, but I'll let him speak for himself.
Good.
Well,
Lieutenant,
there you go. I was just waiting for my opportunity. I didn't want to interrupt anyone. So, good evening, everyone.
Tell us what's going on at the sheriff's department.
Well, there's a lot going on at the sheriff's office, as there seems to always be nowadays. Would you like to talk about what's going on there or what's going on in Gold Hill? It's entirely up to you folks.
Well, it's up to
Gold
Gold
Hill.
Hill.
Gold Hill.
Okay. All right. Well, I did come in. I met with Ms. Simpson earlier today, and I apologized for not getting back to you folks sooner. I know Sheriff Sickler was at a meeting in January, and there was a conflicting thing with a personal issue for me. And he did ask me to get in touch with you folks, and I overlooked that. So I apologized in an attempt to make good on that. Moving forward, I am a new patrol lieutenant, and I was promoted in December. So I will say the norm in Gold Hill is not at all what the letter would seem to indicate. You know, we do have a lot of activity in the county, and if someone is, you know, kind of like I told Ms. Simpson earlier today, if someone is called in as being suspicious or something that a person wants looked into, but they leave, that does lower the priority on our scale because we have lots of things to do in the county. So that part of it is entirely understandable. Now, I did talk with the deputy involved, and he agreed that he probably should have gone into the store, even though sitting outside and sitting away, slightly away from the location, afforded him the opportunity to actually catch the guy coming back if that were to happen. And as always, it seems to be the case. You know, the bad guys show up, or the people up to no good. They're not necessarily bad people, but they're just up to no good. They show up when we're not there. And then that's just the never-ending battle of cops and robbers. So we did talk about that, and it is, I think you folks know that it's not the norm. I know there are instances that have taken place where Gold Hill residents have been less than pleased with the service provided. But at the same time that we're serving Gold Hill, we're also serving the remainder of the county. And that makes things difficult at times to dedicate the resources for lesser offenses, say. I wasn't there this night. It did take place last week. So I can't say the exact conversation of anyone, but I hope that explains a little bit.
So, if I could have a minute to ask a couple questions.
Certainly.
So, I realize that you guys serve the rest of the county. Gold Hill is a very small town. And so when we have somebody out here at 10, 11 o'clock at night, they're not going anywhere very far. There's only about 3 places they could go in town. This particular gentleman, I have had complaints from other women in town that he has been harassing single women who are working by themselves. I have requested that they please call the sheriff the next time that this happens. But the response that I've received from the women in town is, why bother? They didn't respond to Joy. So that's the way the women in Gold Hill are feeling right now. They feel unsafe. They feel like the sheriff's department is not responding to them. A couple of them have now started carrying to work because they feel unsafe. And so that is something that the sheriff's department needs to make the women of Gold Hill feel better about.
I also have concerns that the officer thought it appropriate to lecture the person who called, Ms. Richardson, about the contract and spend time telling her that we don't pay enough, essentially, for good service in Gold Hill. That's not okay. We are not second-class citizens. We are paying $180,000 for this service, more than 1/3 of our annual budget. It's not okay to come here and lecture us and tell us that we don't pay enough for good service. We are not second-class citizens in Gold Hill.
I agree with what you're saying. And we've never tried to treat any citizen as second class, whether it's in Gold Hill or any other part of the county. That's not the intention of the sheriff's office or any of its employees. It's not mine, the sheriff's, any deputy, anyone. In regards to the females in Gold Hill feeling unsafe and feeling that they need to protect themselves, well, I agree that everyone should first and foremost protect themselves, but we do need to address how we can help that out. And I'd be more than happy to come visit again and discuss some options for doing that. Just like I came in today and spoke with Ms. Simpson. We're pretty open-minded as to how we go about that. But again, it isn't always, and I don't have this because this kind of caught me off guard, but I don't have any information regarding any reports. And like I told Ms. Simpson, if it doesn't get reported, there are times when we simply can't respond, even due to, I mean, we're always going to come in some fashion. We do handle a lot of cases by phone, 20 square miles in the county, and sometimes it's much more efficient to make a phone call and have a conversation via phone than it is to drive for 40 minutes to get there and have a 5-minute conversation. But we still try to provide the best service that we can. So if there were reports, if there weren't reports, I think tonight that's irrelevant. I think we just need to sort out what's taken place and come up with a plan for the solution. If this person is known, this male in particular, there might only be a few public places he could go, but there's lots of other places. And unfortunately, especially at night, it doesn't take much to hide. You walk down the railroad tracks and get a little bit out of view of any street lights, which there aren't many along those railroad tracks, and they're pretty hard to find. You go down to the beach park, and it's pretty hard to locate someone down there.
So I can tell you that the gentleman we're talking about is living in the dugout at the baseball fields, the little league fields. So that's where you can look for him. He also came up to me, and it was middle of the day, and the guy was high as a kite and spraying stuff all over the place and making rude comments. And it was 2 PM, and it was ridiculous. But I have another concern because my husband works for the city. And I have been hearing for the past year how we just cannot even get a return phone call. You know, the sheriff won't call us back. The lieutenants won't call us back. Jessica calls, Tony calls. We get no responses. We can't get a response. We finally get a new lieutenant given to us, and you know, my husband calls and leaves a message, and he gets a return phone call from a code enforcement officer that tells him that you said that you'd give him a call when you had time, and he never heard from you. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm just so tired of hearing, that we pay all this money and we can't even talk to our law enforcement. They won't return phone calls. They won't show up at meetings. They just don't show up. You know, we had meetings that they just don't show up at. They don't even call to say that they're not going to make it. I mean, it's that kind of service that I'm just not happy with. I'm so frustrated hearing about this. I know a lot of you guys don't hear all this, but I have to hear about it all the time, and I'm tired of hearing about it. We're just not being treated as we should be.
Okay.
And I can
Not
tell you
okay.
this, while I am an advocate of protecting yourself as well, Lieutenant, and I am an advocate of carrying, the truth of the matter is, before this incident, I felt safe in Gold Hill. I could walk down the street and not be harassed. And now a number of women don't feel safe because they are being harassed, and they're feeling like they have to go out of their way to protect themselves more. And that's not why I moved here. I moved here because Gold Hill was safe.
I would just like to be able to talk to our law enforcement and tell them what's going on and actually get a response, and not just get phone, oh, I'll call you when I have time, and then no response, or just not show up, or not come to the meetings, or, you know, it's this over and over. It's just ridiculous.
So I am going to butt in a little bit here. I never told anyone I'll call you when I get time.
Well, that's the message he got. So somebody, and that's what they told him.
It wasn't.
And that's fine. I'm just saying that those words never came from me. So I simply
Talk to
want
your
to clarify.
deputies then.
Pardon me?
Talk to your deputies then.
I
mean, I'm sure you never told Deputy Merlot to lecture Ms. Richardson about how, you know, we don't pay enough for decent law enforcement, but your officers are saying these things. So maybe you need to do some more training with your officers. I'd like to know how this is being handled with Officer Merlot. Has he been reprimanded? Has he been disciplined? I'd like to see that. I'd also like to know about training going forward so that your officers aren't treating us like this. Otherwise, let's go someplace else. Private security is a lot better than that.
No, focusing on solutions, Lieutenant, if we know where this guy camps out illegally in our town, and there's multiple complaints against him regarding him, what prevents us from making a morning stop at 6:30 when he's all tucked into his sleeping bag, and calling the guy aside and saying, hey, what's going on? Do you have to catch him in the act, or is testimony from multiple people after the fact, is that satisfactory to get something done?
I can't give a rock solid answer on that because it is based on the totality of everything. But I wrote down where somebody, and I don't know who, said that he was sleeping at or living out of the dugout, little league fields. And when this meeting is over, I'll make a phone call and there'll be some attention given so we can find him if he's there. We'll do the same thing in the morning if we don't find him tonight. That's real easy, but until right now, mean, I don't know who he is. I haven't been told who he is. We assume he's a regular, right? That's what all of you folks.
Kind of
are
new.
indicating.
He's new.
He's brand new.
He's been here less than a week. He's new.
Okay.
Oh,
Then
And
we
There's a
probably,
picture, there's a picture of him on Facebook if you want to see, according to the people on Facebook who said that's who he is. He was also harassing the women at the coffee stand, doing the same thing, asking for sexual favors and waving dollar bills at them.
And approaching
Staring
women
at
at the park, at the library park with their kids.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where I was when I saw him.
and if he's at the little league fields, we'll find him. If he's hanging out there, if he's not, like I said, if he's not there tonight, we'll check again in the morning. That's easy because what you folks have done is given us a place to look.
Well,
You know,
see, that's
I-
the problem. If we would have got a return phone call, you would have had that information. You know, if you guys would communicate with us, Tony is like one of the best sources of information for you with this kind of stuff. He knows where everybody's at. You know, he can tell you where all these people are living. So, I mean, but we get no communication. That's what's so
Well-
frustrating.
I understand a lack of communication can be very frustrating. I think there are instances that occur where there isn't as good a communication as there could have been. But I also believe that there are many instances where, you know, the communication is very, very good and calls get handled very, very well. I asked our analyst to provide the stats for me for this last year in Gold Hill. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to do it before I left for the day. So I could.
How do you measure phone calls that aren't returned? You don't have statistics on phone calls that aren't being returned and that you're not responding to
You're
situations.
correct. You're correct. I'm not saying that we have statistics for everything. What I was looking for was the calls that we did handle and that were handled well and satisfactorily, as opposed to the handful of calls that where more service was expected or warranted.
So, Lieutenant, in the spirit of trying to find solutions, I understand this is the first time that I've talked to you. Can I ask from you tonight that since you are in charge now, that communication will be better, that you will do better, that you will hold your officers responsible for the way that they're interacting with our citizens?
All of our deputies are held accountable for their actions,
But look where it gets us.
regardless whether it's in Gold Hill or White City or Shady Cove or anywhere else in the county, anywhere else in the state for that matter.
So I'm going to float this idea by you that he mentioned to me today when we were meeting, and I think it's kind of interesting. Did you know that in the city of Shady Cove, they just had a deputy who's stationed there all the time? He's like their town cop. Lieutenant Minkava told me that this happens typically in 3-month contract cycles. I mean, maybe we try this out for 3 months. We can find someone who would fill it, have our own local person who's here full time, and just see how that works before, you know, but this contract is up for renewal in December. So I was thinking maybe we give this a shot and see how that works. I think it would be good for the town if we had one person that everyone knew, oh, we'll go talk to Deputy so-and-so. He's always here. He's here for us. He's our deputy. I think it's a good idea, something to consider.
Would that be an additional budgetary consideration?
You're still talking
Well,
40,
like I said,
40
the
hours.
contract's up in September, so we're going to have to figure out the budget implications it is. So I was thinking maybe we work something out with the sheriff's contract that wouldn't cost us more for the remainder of this fiscal year, just to give it a shot, just a 3-month window and see how it works out for us.
What happens if, you know, is that deputy going to be scheduled the same hours every day? Like, is it going to be a day shift kind of thing?
Right, but the sheriff's department would still respond his off time if we called 911 or whatever. If we had to call dispatch, they would still respond, as I understand it.
So in something like that, and what I was talking about was particularly in Shady Cove, we have a position that is a Monday through Friday day shift position. And that's what Ms. Simpson is talking about now. outside of those normal hours, it wouldn't be that deputy responding. It would be patrol deputies responding, because his workday would be essentially Monday through Friday, or however it's worked out, but essentially banker's hours, to establish a better rapport with the county, or sorry, with the city. And it was just something that we do in another city, and that's how it came up in conversation.
Is it possible to not have it be banker's hours and to be more like a swing shift kind of thing, like a noon to 9 or something like that?
We can always discuss options like that. Again, this was just something that was brought up because while we were talking, the idea was solutions, not so much problems, but solutions to problems, right? Because if you just keep talking about the problem, nothing gets fixed. So you got to talk about solutions as well. And it was just something that I brought up because it's something we do. As far as the logistics of it and all that stuff, it's certainly a better place than here to discuss that, maybe in person sometime. I much prefer that, by the way. But I would think that most anything would be on the table.
I would think that that would be really something great to look into for the rest of the year to find out, how it works, see how it works for Gold Hill. If we can work that out at no additional budgetary cost, I think that would be working towards a solution.
And, I was thinking about, go ahead, Bill.
Lieutenant Jessica, can we go ahead and set up a face-to-face?
I'm good. Say when.
Yeah, I think we probably need to have Sue in on that conversation too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sue
You know what? I'll coordinate and get the right people in the meeting, and yes, we'll set that up soon so we can talk about it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that'd be great. I would just add that I was talking to a longtime resident about the situation today, and he was saying, back in the day, we had an assigned deputy. It was really great. So I think there's quite a lot of support for if we could have an assigned person. And of course, our go time is when it gets dark, So it probably wouldn't be an 8 to 5 job, but it would be a swing or, oriented around the bars and probably heavy on weekends. But, there's no reason why a new person here who's 7 days is scaring everybody in town. That's guys got to get it together and get the heck out of town. So Jessica, you and the lieutenant will coordinate that meeting, and anyone else who's got some solutions, some ideas, let's funnel them maybe to info@cityofgoldhill.com. Attention, Jessica. Anything else?
I'd like to thank the lieutenant for his time tonight.
Yes, thank you, Lieutenant.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I was glad to be a part of this, and I got to say, it's been a while, but I appreciated hearing the Pledge of Allegiance at the beginning. That was pretty cool. So I will talk to you all soon.
Better in person. We're a little bit more in sync.
Well, hopefully we can
welcome to
work on solutions.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, officer. We look forward to discussing in the future.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. So anyone who's got input, ideas, solution oriented, please make yourself heard. Thank you. Reports from counselors. Anyone would like to give us an update on goings on, things they're working on?
So I have found a fire.
I'll say something. Jessica sent me a binder that was produced for Gold Hill in 2013. It's kind of a safety or emergency manual. I'm happy to spend time looking through that and see if there's anything there that we could use. it's a lot of boilerplate stuff, kind of fill in the blank, a lot of checklists and things like that. If anyone wants to work with me on that, it's kind of a big project. The binder's about that thick. So, you know, going along with our goal of improving emergency response, I'm happy to work on that. And I think I sent an email to you all on your city email saying get in touch with me, but I haven't heard from anybody. So if anybody wants to do that, it's out there.
So, can everybody hear me? I have found a fire goat herd out of Eagle Point. It's a very nice gentleman named Ern. I'm going to be working with Paige Pruitt on the Parks Department to figure out where best those herds could be used so that we can get the square footage and the areas that need to be cleared out so that we can request money from the budget committee this year for the fire goats. Ern is a very nice gentleman, and I have also been in contact with Fire District 3 because they are also looking for a fire goat herd in the area, and they may also be using Ern's services. So I will keep the council updated as that proceeds forward.
Great. And is this something that can be moved on here in the spring before all the explosion of growth, or is this going to be after the new budget cycle?
I believe it will be after the new budget cycle because we don't really have the money in the budget right now. It has to be requested from budget, and we need to know what needs to be cleared. Ern has informed me that fire goats are not a one-time thing. You have to do them on an annual basis in order to keep the growth back, because they won't rip them out by the roots. It takes 2 to 3 years in order for them to have eaten enough of the vegetation to keep it gone.
And do we have an idea of the cost? So for a day, is it, he's got different sizes of herds that he'll bring out?
It's $1.50 to $2 per goat per day.
Good.
How many goats?
And the reason why I ask is, again, we're moving down the path of getting certification as a Firewise community, which makes us amenable or frees up funds from Tom Curley. He's doing traffic control on that. And so you might touch base with Tom and say, okay, $2 a goat times 30 is $60 for a month, times 10 is $600. Can we get a grant for $600 and put a herd down there along the river where we can't use heavy equipment?
Right. So
And-
part of what I was talking to the Parks Committee specifically about, and this is something that other people in the community for volunteering will need to ask for their help, because if we are willing to help clear the area for his electric fencing, we can get $1.50 per goat per day. If he has to clear his own area for his electric fencing, then it'll be $2 per goat per day. And that's really where the variation comes in. Also, he would need to assess the areas for the safety of his goats. But it's my understanding he has, to answer Councillor Wilson, he has anywhere from his own personal herd of 25 goats to potentially tripling the size to 75 goats, depending on the area that we want to go to.
Where are we putting the goats?
That's part of what Paige and I will be working out, is where can the goats be used.
I think it's a good idea.
Janet, let's
Great idea.
right on the city beach property directly adjacent to my house and switch over to my property too, and I'll take a little bit of that load off the goat cost. Because I've got nothing but about 8 foot deep and about 100 foot wide of blackberries down there that have to go. Extreme fire hazard.
Again, our two highest risks, relative fire risks, are at the interface between the trees along 6th and 7th and along the river. Along the river with all the rocks, can't be getting equipment in there, so that really limits us. Along the 6th and 7th, we probably can when it dries out. So I think that makes the obvious place to focus on along the river. Because
And I'd like to point out what Fire District 3 has told us. Yes, trees coming up to the edge of the city are a fire risk, but what everyone should be concerned about most, 30 feet around your house. Focus on your home first.
I do know one of Ern's main concerns that he's had in other towns in the area is the homeless problem, because his electric fences go up overnight. And he leaves his dogs in the electric fence with the goats. And if the homeless do come and take down his fencing, he will only allow that twice before he'll pull his goats back. So that's
And
something that we as a
still not
community
twice.
need to work on.
yeah, and that sounds like a community education effort on our part, saying, hey, we're doing this to clean up the community, respect the goat. Great, thanks for following up on that, Danielle. Anyone else?
I got a little bit about the beach cleanup. There have been some citizens down there cleaning it up by burning, and the city didn't have anything to do with that. But the pile is smaller and smaller, and now it's going to take probably some raking, you know, maybe another couple hundred yards of nice sand brought down there and there donated by the nice boys at Knife River or Hilton or one of these other guys. And just a little bit more basic cleanup around the standard perimeter we've got running down for the basic sand beach. And once we get that done, we'll probably be in very, very good shape this summer. It'll be beautiful down there. And
Maybe you can coordinate
Those
a
guys.
community volunteer workday with Richard.
Yeah,
So
kudos
Richard's
to Richard and Steve
dedicated
Kiesling, Tom
website.
McCann, those guys doing that. They did a great job.
Great, thanks.
I spoke with
On
the guy
my
at the
part,
gas station today. Just real quick, the guys at the gas station said that the gas station will be open in about 3 to 4 weeks. He's just waiting on the pumps to get delivered. So
cool.
coming.
So April, May, huh? On my end, I was working on that mindfulness, the meditation workshop. That has fallen through, so that will not happen in May, or in March. But we are moving ahead with a treasure hunt for the kiddos, which will be really fun. One of the guys here in town has done it several times for friends and family, and kids talk about it 20 years later. So it's really a memorable, a lot of fun thing for them. Cost is we're going bare bones, and it can be one of those things that once we have the supplies, it can run itself mostly every year. So that's what we'd like to get to is keep doing this year after year. And we expect this to be in June, maybe the second half of June. Any department reports?
It's not really a department report, but I wanted to let you all, you'll see in the newsletter coming out, the Blue Bag Brigade is kicking off in the city. So what we're doing here is this is a fundraiser for the holiday decorations. If you want to, when you refill your cans and bottles, you can refill them in one of these blue bags and the money will go towards that. There's going to be a kickoff in the Ray's parking lot, March 6th and March 13th. So you can pick up bags there. You can also pick up bags at City Hall. And when your bags are full, you can either take them to a bottle drop location in either Grants Pass or Medford or wherever you normally take them. Or you can bring them back to City Hall, drop them off here, and we'll give you a new blue bag to fill again. So look forward to this fundraiser going on to raise some money for the holiday decoration and make it even better than last year.
What were the 2 dates? March 6th and
Yeah, the upcoming Saturdays, they'll be there in the afternoon handing out bags.
upcoming Saturdays. Okay.
Yep, the 6th and the 13th. And we also have, you know, an election one. March 8th is the day to get your signatures back to me for verification with the county if you want to run for office.
Jessica, just for the record, can you state for the public how many signatures are required in order to get on the ballot?
Well, if they want to find out, they have to come talk to me because you don't get the packet unless you come talk to me and I make sure you're qualified to run. So if you'd like to run for office, come to City Hall and see me and pick up your packet. But it is 25 signatures, but I won't give you the signature pages unless you pass all the tests.
Good.
Which there are 2 tests. You have to have resided in the city of Gold Hill for a year prior to the election, and you have to be registered to vote.
Good of order.
I think we're good.
Ferris. Okay, this meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Wow.
All right, everybody.